Today's video is all about exploring LA on a budget. How much can $10 buy us in this super expensive city? I have never been to LA before and I'm really excited to see all these places that I know from movies in real life. But partly this video is also about how difficult it can be for people who don't have that much to live in this city. So let's kick this off with some information about inequality in America. In September 2019, the Census Bureau reported that income inequality in the United States had reached its highest level in 50 years, and Los Angeles ranks 7th in income inequality among the country's biggest cities. This is particularly felt among people of color, but regardless of background, many struggle daily for things that we take for granted: access to healthcare, stable jobs, affordable housing, quality education, and safe neighborhoods. Our journey begins on Sunset Boulevard, but more specifically in Silver Lake, which is the area I'm staying in. I happened to stay here completely by chance. I was chatting to a friend of mine who's from LA, and she said, you know, I actually think you'd really like that area because it's very hipster. And initially, my gut reaction was, oh, excuse me, but she was spot on. I'm absolutely loving it. I can't exactly afford to go clothes shopping today, but I thought I'd quickly check out what you can find on a budget. This is Sunday's best thrift shop in Echo Park, and I was pleasantly surprised by what you could find here for just $1. They were also playing The Breakfast Club on a big screen in the shop, so that's extra points for me. I'm getting quite hungry, but I've realized that searching for a nice breakfast spot here might be kind of tricky because the area is very gentrified, and so finding cheap places is going to be a bit of a struggle, but I have faith. I hope this isn't too much of a spoiler, but $10 in LA, similar to London where I currently live, isn't going to get us much. Un taco de pastor, por favor. Sí. First meal of the day is a taco del pastor. I got it from a taco truck in Silver Lake, and taco trucks are such a great way of eating cheaply and really well here in LA. They're absolutely delicious. The menu and the prices are pretty static, like you tend to get the same stuff, and tacos are usually the cheapest thing on the menu. Next, let's stop at this little shop, the Time Travel Mart. I found it on Atlas Obscura, which I often use to find unique places when I'm traveling. They describe this place as a convenience store for time travelers, which I thought was pretty cool. And proceeds from there go to 826 LA, a nonprofit which is dedicated to helping local students develop their creative writing skills. I've opted for good walking shoes because I'm honestly not sure that we're going to be able to do anything but walk if we want to eat today. Public transport in LA is pretty affordable. You pay $1.75 for one journey on a bus or the metro. But again, $10 really isn't that much if we want to eat, and Silver Lake isn't too close to where we're going, which is Hollywood. Renting a bicycle is another great way to travel on a budget, but again, $10 is not going to allow for it. Just noting the existence of this taco truck in case I need it for lunch or dinner. Looks pretty good. They all do, really. I feel like I'm being taunted by all these nice looking restaurants right now. So I just got talking to Ray over here, and he had some really interesting insights into LA on a budget.
Oh no, you can't make it. You can't.
Really?
You have to have a roommate. You have to have a roommate.
It's the same in London.
Yeah, without a roommate, you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
Without splitting the food costs, you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
I mean, transportation, you're dead in the water. You go to the store, you take $100 to go get some groceries, and you come out with a bag and a half. There's two types of people in Los Angeles: the haves and the have-nots. And it ain't no more middle class. Middle class, they just kick them to the curb, just do them all out the door. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. And then they don't want to pay you nothing on these jobs.
I couldn't stop thinking about what Ray had said as I walked to my next stop, the Hollywood Forever Cemetery, which is free to visit, by the way, but that's about it, because as it turns out, even dying in Los Angeles is expensive. The National Funeral Directors Association lists $7,045 as the average cost of a local funeral, and that's excluding cemetery fees. If you wanted to get buried here at Hollywood Forever Cemetery, you'd need pretty deep pockets. Plots currently range from about $18,000 to $242,000 according to LA Mag. But they do come with the unusual benefit of spending your hereafter peacefully resting next to celebrities like Judy Garland, Rudolph Valentino, or Dee Dee Ramone. A little morbid, but I feel like every now and then it's good to be reminded of one's own mortality. And this is a very, very beautiful place for it. you watch this channel, you know I love walking, but that was a very long walk even for me. So now I am really hungry. I did enjoy the cemetery. So weird to say, I did enjoy the cemetery. But now I'm trying to think, where shall I eat? I thought maybe Taco Bell would be a good option, but I'm not the biggest fan, if I'm being honest. There's this fast food chain called Jack in a Box. I'd never heard of it before coming to California, but I see it all around, and I think there's one nearby. So I think I might go there next. By the way, if you were worried about my hydration levels, don't worry about me, because this girl knows what she's doing. I brought this bottle of water. I'm hoping to refill it at some point. It's cheaper and it's environmentally friendly. Hi, could I get a junior jumbo Jack, please? So that was Jack in the Box. Pretty unremarkable, with one exception. There was this little girl around 5 or 6, and she came up to me and she said, "I like your makeup and I like your hair." And that has just made my day. That was so cute. So now I'm full of energy. And I'm gonna go explore like Hollywood, the Chinese theater, that sort of area. The one that all the tourists, myself included, come to. One other thing, if you're in the US and you're traveling on a strict budget, you really need to look out for taxes. I was getting a $1.99 sandwich, but it ended up being $2.19 because of taxes. And while that might not seem like too much money, if you're on a strict budget like I am today, it adds up very quickly. Just quickly went window shopping in McDonald's to see what their prices were like. Pretty much the same as Jack in a Box. Here's all the money I have left. It's $5 and some change. I'm gonna need $1.75 for my transport because I can't walk back. So this is dinner. I'm definitely not hungry yet, but I'm preemptively thinking about dinner. This is just something I like to do. And I figured one of those pizza slice places might be a great shout. Turns out one slice of pizza here is usually around $5 to $7. They're huge slices, to be fair, but that's a lot, isn't it? Okay, we're gonna go to Trader Joe's just because I've never been. My 19-cent dessert. I just realized this is my first piece of fruit and veg today. Not great, is it? I spotted a small dollar and dime store across the street, so I quickly headed inside, but the offerings were pretty lackluster and not the price I'd expect from a shop like this. So when I noticed an ice cream and hot dog truck parked nearby, I thought I was in luck. A hot dog is not an option for dinner because it costs $6. Look, I don't know what I was expecting from the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but it certainly wasn't this. There's such a stark contrast between the haves and the have-nots, as Ray described them earlier, and you can't escape it. It's everywhere you look. I saw people digging through bins to find scraps of food, sleeping on the street on filthy mattresses, begging for money wrapped in rags. I'll be honest, this part of Hollywood is unbelievably depressing. I don't like it at all. And right as I was saying that, I came across this Scientology center. Of course, people convert to some dodgy pseudo-religion when you're surrounded by so much disparity, so much inequality, so much poverty. Not a fan. If you are traveling on a budget and you for some reason want to stay in this terrible area, and look, this is my personal opinion, I'm sure some people like it, then Same Sun Hostels was really highly rated on booking.com. I just came across it. It's right in the middle of the action. Hi, sorry, I know these aren't worth much. What's your name?
Logan.
Sabina, nice to meet you.
Me too.
Hi! What's his name?
Her name is Danny.
Her name. Sorry, very rude to assume.
You're from Canada, aren't you?
I'm not. I live in the UK though, so I have like a weird soft accent.
Yeah, I know. I was just like, when you said
Yeah.
these and you had a very clean accent,
Yeah, it's
I immediately thought Canada.
Yeah. I stayed and chatted to Logan for a while, and what he said really reminded me of my little talk with Ray.
Me personally, I feel as things get higher, we should get more raises on our government pensions and checks and things
100%.
like that. But they don't think about that. Like I said, the haves and the have-nots. Either you have it or you don't. And if you don't have it, you're in trouble.
And with that, I was done. I left the Walk of Fame. A fun fact, in 2019, Stash.com conducted a survey of the world's 100 most famous tourist attractions. They were trying to figure out which places live up to the hype and which ones don't. And no surprise here, the Walk of Fame came in dead last. I got off the metro at Pershing Square, and there's this one place I've been meaning to see for ages. It's called The Last Bookstore. It's a really beautiful bookshop, and even more importantly for my ego, somebody told me that they saw my book there, the book that I wrote in 2020. So I would absolutely love to see it there because I have literally never seen it in a bookshop before. Bookshops in the UK don't really have it. I live in London, and I've not been in the US for quite a few years now. So yeah, so fingers crossed. Obviously visiting the bookshop's gonna be free, but we now have a very important and difficult decision to make. I can either get a bus back or I can have dinner. It's really hard. You don't realize until you do, a challenge like this. And look, for me, this is just a challenge. This is something I'm doing because it's interesting. But for some people, this is literally how they are forced to live. I haven't found the bookshop yet, but I've had this place saved on my map. It's the Grand Central Market, and I'm really curious to see what it looks like, so let's go on in. Well, I made a decision, one I'm not particularly proud of, and it wasn't very wise now in hindsight, but instead of getting dinner, I got a horchata. It's this amazing Mexican drink. It's made with nut milk, and it's got cinnamon in it, and I'm currently mildly obsessed with it. And now I've realized with this $10 budget, I no longer have money for dinner. And as you can see, it is not nighttime. So, yeah, that was dumb. One word of caution, many locals have warned me against coming to downtown LA because of safety issues. Now, I will say as a solo female traveler, I haven't felt particularly unsafe, but there are a lot of, let's say, strange people around. There's a lot of untreated mental illness here in LA, and you can really see it wherever you go, especially on like the metro or on buses and really busy areas. So I wouldn't particularly recommend coming here after dark or staying very late unless you have transport prearranged or you have people with you. Okay, moment of truth. Will they have my book? Look how beautiful this space is. They're definitely not going to have my book here because this is rare books. Are you with me? They're also not going to find my book here. This is the kind of section where I'd expect it. I keep thinking this is it, but it's not. Sadly, I didn't find my book, but I absolutely loved my trip to the bookshop regardless. I posted a reel about my visit and it's had 3.7 million views on Instagram so far. If you don't follow me there and on TikTok yet, then here's my handle. It's the same on both platforms. The room is actually genuinely very, very creepy. It's like skulls and... Oh, let's get out. Don't touch that. There's even a little gallery here. What a beautiful bookshop. And now I've got to go home before the sun sets. I have put my hoodie on for two reasons. Number one, it is a little bit chillier now, but that's not the most important. The most important is I'm attracting less attention this way, and sadly as a woman, that's something you gotta have in the back of your mind wherever you go. So yeah, and I'm gonna try to walk home, but I'm gonna walk out. I'm gonna walk along the bus route so that if I feel like anything's dodgy, I can just hop on the bus. I wanted to keep my camera in my backpack for the way back just for safety reasons, but I have just realized that my route back is literally next to Chinatown, and now I've heard this is also not a place you should be after dark, but we're gonna give it like 10 minutes just so I can have a quick browse. And I really don't want you to think that I don't take safety precautions seriously. I really genuinely do. You always should let people know where you're going. You should always make sure that your phone is fully charged, that you have some kind of, means of payment available, ideally cash and card. The Chinatown here in LA is actually great. It feels very immersive. There are Chinese signs all around you. It doesn't quite feel like Beijing, but it definitely has that vibe. I had the intention of moving to Beijing eventually with an ex-partner. Obviously that didn't happen. It's a good thing, but I still have such a soft spot for China, and I would love to go back now that COVID, restrictions are easing, although I know they keep having loads of lockdowns because the rules there are a bit more strict. But for now, this will do me nicely. Okay, as promised, this was a very quick detour, so I am gonna get back on the path, and we're nearly home now. I've made it back. I will say it has gotten dark out there very quickly, so when making your plans, don't do as I do. I have managed to stick to the budget, but it wasn't easy, and I'm not exactly full. So yeah, even as a fun little challenge, it was pretty tricky. And bear in mind that this is a reality for people daily, for so many people out there. And if this video moved you, if you feel compelled to help some of those people or support them in any way, here are a few charities that I recommend, but there's so many out there. This one, Beam, I actually used to work for, so full disclosure. The end. I will see you next Friday. Bye.